Thank you for the opportunity of sharing my thoughts on radio trends in the digital world and to present an overview of how the industry is adapting to remain relevant. Yes, the future has arrived, and with it, both the radio and television industries have the challenge of keeping their listeners, their viewers and advertisers in this new digital world. Trends have evolved in media consumption, and advertisers are now moving advertising dollars from traditional radio and television media over to new digital video and audio media platforms. Around the world, and I understand also here in China, there has been a rapid shift towards mobile that is powering a digital advertising boom. To remain relevant and competitive, both the radio and television industry must become digital players. The focus of my presentation today is about radio, and digital media is not the first challenge that radio has faced. Radio has proven in the past that it can adapt and continue to provide important services for advertisers, allowing them to deliver their message to large numbers of listeners who tune into their favourite radio stations for live, local information and entertainment. Then almost suddenly, it seemed, along came the digital revolution with the internet and smartphones, and a new mix of media dawned that I like to call Radio 2.0. Each time radio has adapted during an evolutionary phase, it has been at the hands of people who creatively understood the radio industry. And today, radio is not the technology that carries the signal, it is the content, not the carrier. And content is the key area of focus today for players in the radio space. The good thing for radio is that audio content is portable. You can transfer content anywhere you want. It can be moved easily from technology to technology. Be it AM, FM, DAB, the internet, wireless, the mobile phone, or whatever new device might be developed tomorrow, technology is simply the transport or the distribution system. Content is the king. During the past decade, the world has seen the development of new media landscape, with the launch of countless online services, including streaming radio, music services, podcasting, on-demand, online television channels, mobile technologies, electronic games, and so it goes on. To maintain relevance in today's digital age, during the rapid advance of digital technology, radio is once again having to evolve and is transforming into a new form of media by incorporating convergence applications and visual materials that are actually adding sight to a once sightless medium. This does not necessarily mean that listeners are no longer able to have a pure oral experience listening to their radios. It simply means that there is another layer of content that allows the radio listener to enhance that experience in the online and wireless space, but accessed through different new devices that are available in the market. Radio has been a partially participating medium with programs such as Talkback and the phone to give listeners a voice. However, with the development of the internet and smartphones, greater opportunities are now available to radio, and listener participation has taken a giant leap forward. Radio not only sends news and entertainment, now it also receives through social media. In today's digital world, television, radio, social media, mobile phones, voice-activated smart speakers, and the World Wide Web can no longer be treated as separate entities. They are all interconnected through different pathways that ultimately lead to a larger pool of information and experience. Because of its portability and mobility, radio content can be distributed as audio to all the many digital devices at any given time. Wireless internet delivers the radio experience in a different way, while podcasting offers time-shifted audio through user-friendly interfaces. And as we spend more time on our mobile phones, as we spend more time in our cars, as we spend more time wherever we spend more time, audio is very powerful because it is everywhere and will continue to be a big part of the future. Radio broadcasters around the world are embracing digital technology and implementing a wide range of complementary digital services that appeal to their audience, but they're competing for ears with other content providers who are also using digital content delivery systems that are received on the multi-platform devices. Now here's my countdown of the top 10 international radio trends for 2018. Trend number 10, terrestrial digital broadcasting. The digital transmission system with variations that are known as DAB+, DAB, DMB, DRM, CDR or IBOC was developed 20 years ago and works in a similar technical way that audio streaming does on the internet, but it's broadcast over the air as a free transmission. When the first services were launched on the air in the mid-1990s, terrestrial DAB was predicted to be transformative technology that would revolutionize the radio industry, and that was the expectation until live streaming, mobile phones and podcasting arrived. Today there are hundreds of channels of terrestrial DAB radio programs broadcasting live in more than 15 countries around the world, including the UK, Australia, Belgium, Germany and the USA. But many are using different digital systems and different receivers. And in many markets, operators are simply simulcasting their AM/FM radio channels. Last year, Norway became the first country in the world to switch off all FM radio stations and broadcast only on DAB. A German broadcaster also recently announced that it will close down its FM transmissions on the island of Helgoland and the nearby area, and will broadcast in future only on DAB+. But in several countries where DAB transmissions were launched, they failed to attract listeners and these countries have switched off their DAB transmitters, including Hong Kong and Singapore. So the trend is for increased listening on terrestrial DAB radios, particularly in motor vehicles, in countries where new cars are now being sold with DAB, AM, FM receivers fitted as standard. However, the face of the increasing trend in digital online listening and the on-go listening and more activation services, it's doubtful that terrestrial DAB services will expand beyond the existing countries where terrestrial digital broadcasting has already been established. Trend number 9, online radio websites. Radio station websites have become such a vital part of a radio channel that today they can be as important as the station's actual on-air programs. Digital technology is enabling stations to present exclusive web-only promotions, bios of artists and show guests, along with links to external sources and billboards displaying upcoming topics, interview transcripts, content that could not be shared on the station's traditional radio platform. The station's website is an attractive opportunity for advertisers too, and generates new digital advertising revenue through banner ads and content sponsorships. Because younger audiences listen and tend to search for what they want to consume on the internet, radio stations are producing more audio-visual content for the internet on their websites. Because these users are also more likely to browse visually rather than in text, this is encouraging stations to create well-designed websites with large icons and graphics. Radio has the power to drive traffic to websites like no other media. Radio programs direct listeners to their website, and websites direct listeners back to the station's different programs. And this smooth cycle keeps people engaged in the ever-expanding content of the station and keeps things interesting for dedicated listeners. Trend number 8, connecting radio listeners together. Radio's traditionally been a one-to-many broadcasting system, And although previously mainly one way, digital technology has opened up online and on mobile, enabling a two-way stream of commentary and feedback, creating an on-air, online, on-the-go community. What sets radio apart from the non-stop music streaming services that are online is radio's social interactions. This is the interesting and relevant content presented by personalities that fits in between the music, the commercials and the promos, along with topics that relate, affect and interest members of the community. Trend number 7, expanding radio to social networks. Incorporating social media is a natural and a logical extension of the medium. Stations are developing social media partnerships and teaming up with social media sites that can be beneficial and complementary to radio. Trend number 6, developing new and compelling convergence media content. Radio is combining real-life events with social media, as well as adapting to visual formats, rather than remaining a purely oral-based medium. Radio channels are producing innovative multimedia for broadcasting that captivates listeners, enables them to interact with the channel in a multi-dimensional community. Radio streaming, podcasting and mobile casting also plays an important role in radio convergence. Although there are certain times which have higher ratings of listeners, consumers want their media on demand at any given moment. To meet this broadcasting need, broadcasters are archiving programs and extending content online, building alternative channels to incorporate not only playback content, but make available a cloud-based stream of additional multimedia content. Trend number 5, creating content for multiple platforms. Multi-platform content distribution allows radio to capture both the traditional and digital audiences across multiple platforms that simultaneously delivers immediate reach and engagement for advertisers and commercial partners and establish it as a loyal core audience. Extending on-air content to online streaming is giving greater depth of broadcast content. Radio producers are creating content now for a variety of devices, many of which are mobile. This content is being delivered to listeners in the way in which they prefer to consume it, whether it's on their actual radio or on their mobile phones, on a tablet or on their computers. Trend number 4, radio apps. The trend is for radio channels to stream content on their own radio app, showcasing the station's brand, in preference to using third-party streaming apps like TuneIn or Streamer. These days, almost everyone carries a smartphone, and the radio app makes the content accessible anywhere, anytime, directly from the listener's pocket. Radio apps today are considered not only a destination for listeners to easily access the station's internet stream, but also showcase special features and paid sponsorships. Options are also being added to radio apps that provide sharing via any other app installed on the user's phone, like WeChat, or Facebook, Twitter or WhatsApp, along with links to social media that encourages listeners to organically spread the word about the station to friends and followers. In Australia, Commercial Radio Australia represents the country's commercial radio broadcasters and is responsible for the development, promotion and marketing of the radio industry. CRA has developed, launched and maintains Radio App. That is a free mobile platform that makes available the radio apps of the country and streams the more than 250 Australian radio stations on the one app, making it easy to listen to radio on smartphones, tablets and connected devices anywhere. Trend number 3, voice-activated smart speakers. The rise of voice activation devices has been one of the biggest trends in 2018. These are devices that are connected to the internet cloud and controlled by means of a voice, removing the need to touch buttons, dials or switches, allowing consumers to easily operate appliances without hands or having to look at something while doing other tasks. A recent United States report showed there is a mainstream adoption by US adults of voice-powered smart speakers that has grown to 47.3 million in 2 years, or 20% of the population, and double the previous year's total. Several models of voice-activated smart speakers are on the market and growing rapidly. Now, two of the most popular brands in the United States, Australia and the UK are Alexa Echo, that was the first smart speaker on the market and was developed by the US online retail giant Amazon. Next to come on the market was the Google Home, and later came Apple with its smart speaker branded the HomePod, and is reported to produce the best quality sound of all. A user would simply say, "Alexa, play my FM," and the smart speaker will immediately find the stream on the internet cloud and play the channel. Or the user might say, "Alexa, what is the weather today?" and the latest weather would be retrieved from the internet and played out through the speaker. Smart speakers are a positive for radio because audio doesn't require you to look at something when you speak, and gives radio the opportunity of keeping radio listening in the home, since these smart speakers are often placed in listeners' kitchens and bedrooms. Trend number 2, podcasting. This is a method of distributing audio files via the internet that allows subscribers to download on demand a program on a computer or a portable device such as a mobile phone and listen to the program whenever they want to listen. It's become big business in many countries, with some of the money and talent that would have normally gone into linear AM or FM radio being invested in podcasts by traditional broadcasters and other operators. So podcasting is a rising trend that gives radio a new opportunity to connect with its audience. Radio channels are leveraging their brands with podcast promotions and encouraging their listeners to regularly listen to their audio content on demand. Podcasts give on-air personalities more time and freedom to discuss topics that they're passionate about, such as, favourite new artists or events in the media, and allow stations to deliver content to their listeners even if they missed the live broadcast. The BBC is the most listened to podcast broadcaster in the UK, with more than 2.5 million people listening to podcasts every week. The director of the BBC Radio has said that in future about 60% of all BBC radio and podcast content will be contracted out so as to deliver the best value for money from external suppliers of content. The number one trend for 2018 is the power of mobile phones. More than 2/3 of the world's population now has a mobile device, with most people using a smartphone. The smartphone is the world's preferred choice for going online too, accounting for a greater share of internet traffic than all other devices combined. Latest data from the social media site Facebook, with more than 2 million active user accounts, shows that 92% of their users are now accessing their platform via a mobile device, meaning that today only 8% of users access Facebook from a desktop or a laptop computer. Recent data also shows that people are now spending 7 times longer using mobile apps compared to mobile web browsers. It is estimated that there are now 225 million mobile phone users in the United States. In Australia, 86% of people over 14 years of age have a smartphone. A recent survey of more than 560 radio stations and with 64,000 respondents in the States showed there is an increasing addiction to mobile devices. 9 in 10 respondents have a smartphone. 7 in 10 have a tablet, both up from last year's survey. Almost 2/3 are able to connect a smartphone in their cars, with 1/5 owning a connected car with a digital dashboard and integrated online infotainment platform. More than 9 in 10 respondents said that they spend at least 1 hour a day with radio and/or TV or video. The average user in the United States also spends about 5 hours a day on smartphone activities such as texting, social media use, internet, searches, phone calls. Half of the time is spent on social media, including texting. And clearly the top radio trend for 2018 is the growth of mobile devices. That includes smartphones. The wireless audio device, that is, complementary to terrestrial AM, FM and DAB radio receivers, and gives radio the opportunity of evolving into a multi-platform digital medium. And just in closing, as we say in radio, thank you for listening. But mobile phones can be addictive, and to conclude my presentation, I would like to thank you for listening and leave you with this 45-second video message.